It's okay, Yu-Gi-Oh players. It's okay to be hungry. You guys can be as fat as you want to be. So I'm hoping this will be one of the most educational videos or discussions that we put out on this channel. So please pay full attention to everything I say in this video, because this will be important to new Yu-Gi-Oh players as well as old. So we got out Old Faithful here. Gotta love the old style blue shirts. You guys can ream me for my collar down below, but it's okay. Yu-Gi-Oh players, it is okay to be hungry. I know very few people have talked about this in the course of Yu-Gi-Tubing in general. John's talked about it a little bit in his videos. Billy's talked about it a few times as well. What does it mean to be hungry in this game? It means to have a competitive drive. And it's okay to know when to saturate your hunger. Me and John, we can be some of the first people in this game to tell you that we get hungry every once in a while. We'll want to go for that top. And because both me and John has a win, I have a third place. Our hunger isn't as driven as other players, the ones that are aiming for the top. Because we've kind of, I'm not going to say so much that we've lived through our golden years, but hunger to us means typically going on a winning streak and aiming for as far as we can go. And hunger to other players means they want more. Constantly wanting more. But the sad thing is, once that hunger has been saturated, you know, you kind of calm down in this game. And that can be a bad thing and a good thing. And I think it's definitely important to remember that no matter what kind of player you are, whether or not you're a casual player, an intermediate player, or an expert player, even the casual players will get hungry. Now, it might not be to the extent in which an intermediate player top 32's their first event, they get their first invite where they want to play more, or an expert player, you know, gets a top 32 finish and they want to aim for the finish. For the casual player, I think it's very important to understand that your hunger will be literally just that. You might have an exciting game of Yu-Gi-Oh with your casual Go Strict deck. Not dissing on anyone here, that's fine. You might beat a tier 1 deck for the first time in your life, and that will excite you. That's good. That is one of the first steps to wanting to get better at this game, is once you experience that hunger, you want more. And that hunger alone can trigger a casual player to want to go into an intermediate player. It's actually very interesting to think about, because casual players, once they experience that one little drive or that one little spark, it might get them to want to attend a few more locals, or on the flip side, it might horrify the player and they might get out of the game because they realize that they'll be spending too much money. It's a double-edged sword. It is codependent on your thoughts. Now, as that casual player becomes an intermediate player, this is where things get interesting. Two things will occur for that intermediate player. They will often find that the game of Yu-Gi-Oh is too hard. The quote-unquote spark that they had experienced has been, I guess, put out. The sad thing is, if the intermediate player attends too many regionals and doesn't, quote-unquote, get that win that they're looking for, or find that excitement, they will burn back down into a casual player. And that's really sad, because I've met a lot of good people throughout the years. They've burned themselves out of this game, and I really wish that there were ways to change that. But once you take too many beatings, unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to get up. It's human mentality, and I don't hate those people for that. Every once in a while, they'll find the spark again, and they'll return to their status as an intermediate player and attend a few events. It's definitely something interesting to note, though. But you will have those intermediate players that will find out that they have this spark. They'll top their first event, as we said, and they'll be like, wow, I want to go to my first YCS, or I want to go to more events. I want to travel more because I'm doing so well. Alright, this is one of the things that's really great about this game, is players will have their formats. And I've seen a casual player come into this game and become an expert player, all because of their format. It's all about timing. It's all about recognition. But once that intermediate player gets that spark, they'll blossom into a competitive player. They'll begin to seek these playtesting groups. They'll begin to want to get better at this game from beyond what they were. Now, you'll also have the one player that is a casual player. A very case in point, his friends are going to an event. He doesn't want to stay home for the weekend. He's like, you know what? Screw it. I want to go hang out with the squad. Guy ends up topping his first YCS. This is kind of one of those theories in which the casual player blossoms into a competitive player, but does he really deserve it? It's a little bit superficial when you're looking at this particular category, because more than likely, we've had a few players like this in our community. They'll show up, they'll be quote-unquote no-names, and then they'll fade back into an intermediate player. You're typically going Super Saiyan 2 without going Super Saiyan 1, and then eventually, whether or not it's for their sake or the community's sake, they'll fade back down into intermediate player. These will be the players that you'll see at regionals. You'll be like, oh, you top that one event every once in a while. You know, they're there. Not ragging on any of them. It happens. And then you have the expert players that burn out into the casual category. And the very excellent examples of this throughout time. I'm going to, I guess, lump in a lot of the players that have disappeared from this game, that have taken a back seat. Obviously, Adam Corrin. You guys remember Pause Joker? Pause Joker used to be a very good player. He's running a store now. He's faded into the background of the community. Iman, Thuzak, Thorn Pumbat, Mr. T. Sorry if I destroyed your name, sir. Hell, even Dale Bolito. Very excellent example as well. You know, Dale used to be on the top of his game. One of the best players in this game. You know, I would argue that he's like kind of an intermediate player, but he's probably more of a casual player. He's like the hybrid here. Yeah, the hybrid. Like, players know him throughout the years, but at some points, you know, because you were so good at the game, you appear to have the traits of this, but you're as uneducated as a casual player at times. So it's delusions, or illusions of grandeur, however you want to bring that up. But there are many examples of a lot of people floating between the categories. I'm kind of in the intermediate, floating between the competitive and the intermediate. Really haven't had a lot of YCSs to travel to because of unfortunate things with winter. Didn't get to fucking travel for like 2 months, you know, for December through January. And February rolled around, got our first event. I've been going to a few regionals here and there. We're kind of getting there. Have to relearn the mentalities. Excellent point to come into the game here very soon. Don't be afraid. Tell your friends to come in with link summoning. It'll be a very good educational point. There'll be a lot of new players that will blossom in this point. There'll be a lot of expert players that will fade out of the light because they can't adapt. Very excellent examples of evolution. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how the metagame will raise this new generation of players. And if the old players can't adapt, then they'll be ghosts of the past. And unless you're trying to educate yourself and better yourself at this game, you're only going to get left behind. This is why, you know, playtesting groups are so very important. Me and Simo, everyone else, we've talked about these things throughout the course of this channel. You know, hang out with people that are better than you. Don't be afraid to ask them questions. You know, the only person you're hurting yourself by not asking for information is yourself. You know, there are playtesting groups out there. There are people that know things that you don't know. Don't be afraid to approach these people and prove your worth to them. Test with them. Dueling book. Make the grind. If you are as hungry as I think you are, at some point in your time you will want to be good at this game. Very few people will go through the rigorous process of actually getting good at Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think you're only punishing yourself by not doing so. So, moral of this video, I wanted to talk about the groups. I think it's very important that people understand these groups. We talked about a lot of the events too. Even if you guys didn't catch on to a lot of the things I was saying about the things that are happening and the processes of these formats and the little things. That is what you have to work on in order to find your way to move from these groups to be a better player at these games. I can't help you be better at this game more than what I say in my videos and my opinions. A lot of people come to me asking me for deck advice, and I'm not going to be the first one to tell you that deck building is not one of my strongest traits. Net decking has always been one of my best resources I've ever had. I'm more adept to looking at a resource and deciding what I don't like about playing the list after playing the list, or my initial thoughts on the list. Now, granted, that's a little bit of a poisonous mindset, not wanting to try things necessarily for yourself from scratch, but modifying things that currently already exist. You can only hurt yourself with that mentality, but I've kind of come to learn to compensate for this mentality, and for the most point, it's been working for me. So I can't really, I would love to help you. For the people that have come to me, very few people we made deck profile videos for a few of them, asking you guys for help amongst things like that. And I definitely think often leading up to playtesting groups, asking other people often tends to be better thoughts, other than, yeah dude, yeah, it looks fine, or, have you considered changing this for this? Not the best theorist out there anymore, but god fucking damn it, we try for our intermediate status. We're trying to be a good player again, but some days we just suck. Other days we hungry as a fucking hippo. So that's my thoughts, guys. So guys, leave a comment down below. It's okay to be hungry. There's nothing wrong with it. If your parents are telling you, your friends are telling you you're spending too much time on Yu-Gi-Oh, probably spending too much time on Yu-Gi-Oh. Alright guys, I'm out. Deuces. That's not all, folks. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Please check out my Cardfight Vanguard channel, VanCole40. You guys will get an insight on our playtesting sessions. And please check out the Zodiac Duelist TV Twitch stream. That way you guys can follow the House of Champions and MCole40 interactions. Please check out MCole Games for all of your guys' trading card game needs. And if you guys enjoyed this content, please check out my Patreon in the description. Every bit helps to the creation of these videos. One step at a time in improvement, and that's the goal of this channel. Alright guys, have a good time, and thanks for watching.